There was an EasyJet flight that tried to remove 2 black men from the cabin. For what reason? Did they threaten to stage some kind of terrorist attack? No, they didn't put their shoes on for takeoff. This took place on a flight from London Gatwick to Malaga in Spain. And the video shows the passengers objecting to their treatment. It was posted on Twitter. Let's take a look at that.
It's the general response is literally the whole plane is
There's something about the people being like, don't get off. Don't get off. What is this, America? We can't just throw people off for race. So anyway, so that's what happened. In the end, the 2 men were allowed to stay on the flight as the cabin crew had changed instead. There's a little bit of specifics now. This is some more details. The airline reportedly attempted to remove the 2 men for, quote, huffing at a member of the crew when they were asked to put their shoes on for takeoff. The argument occurred during the flight's taxi on the runway, thus forcing the plane to turn around. According to Business Insider, an attendant called the police to report 2, quote, disobedient passengers, leading to 4 armed officers entering the plane, taking the 2 men's passports and offloading their luggage. After the complaints of the other passengers, according to Business Insider, the 2 men were permitted to remain on the flight and the cabin crew was changed instead. The Daily Mail reports EasyJet say that the crew was replaced because they exceeded their work hours and not because of the passengers' objections. This is called timing out. So there's that. We have more details, but first, Jackson, what are your thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were that if I was working, I wouldn't have cared. I mean, it's not just that they, put these 2 men through this, but the entire rest of the passenger crew had to be held up for hours. Nobody really cared. Just a big issue of people taking their jobs a bit too seriously. That's kind of a thing. Like you can be like, hey, can you put your shoes on? They don't want to. Be like, I don't get paid enough to really escalate this. I'll just let them keep their shoes off. And then too, it's easy to, for authorities all over the world to kind of pick at minorities because, small instances in their mind could escalate into bigger ones. Oftentimes that's how these types of situations are looked at and handled, and why people seem to maybe take them so seriously when they're not, because perhaps these fellas are dangerous, so.
Yeah, of all the things you can do with feet on a flight, I feel like not having them on for takeoff is not the worst one. I asked a former flight attendant about this very recently, about this very story, because I heard, well, if someone isn't, obeying the rules that are there for your safety and mine and the safety of the crew, then sure, you have to abide by those rules. I mean, this sounds like a Karen thing where Karen wouldn't put her shoes on, so everyone was like kicked her off the flight. But when I was expecting that response, but the flight attendant just said, that's not a thing. You have to put your shoes on. Do they want to take, ostensibly that measure is for safety. So in the event that you do need to evacuate, you need to have shoes on. But then again, like she asked, like, would they make the women wearing take off their heels, because that's not the optimal footwear for running, proceeding down the aisle and out of the plane in the case of the emergency. This is one of those things where it seems like you are looking for something if you call it out. Like there's people without shoes on. If you don't have your seatbelt on, yes, you have to have your seatbelt on. If your tray table is not in it's upright and locked position, that is another issue, hurting the person from getting out of the aisle so they can evacuate. But in this situation, what another indicator should be the rest of the entire group of passengers who are sitting there looking at you, who are trying to get this person off the plane, and saying, just let them sit without the shoes. It's not like they got smelly feet. Just let them get up, or let them just stay on the flight, because you know what's gonna happen? As soon as we're in the air, they're gonna take their shoes off. And as long as they're not like up next to my face as I'm sitting there, I feel like we're gonna be all right.